Yo, what's good, y'all? Welcome back to Afro Wonders. Now, it's been a minute since I put out another Afro review. Honestly, it's just been a crazy year. Been moving around a lot, traveling for work. I've spent several months in different locations, different countries throughout the year. Even as we speak, I'm in Germany right now. I don't live in Germany, I live in the Netherlands, but I'll be here for a couple of months, so it's just been one of those years, honestly. I haven't really had the time, or hadn't made the time, honestly, to really keep putting out these Afro reviews, but we ain't here to talk about that. We're here to discuss an Afro review on Poland. If you haven't seen this channel before or haven't seen an Afro review, it's just me discussing all things about being black in a certain location, specifically my experience of being black, because everybody's is different, of course, and even outside of that, discussing all things around the cost of visit, transportation, the safety of it, the food, weather, everything that was about my visit and potentially yours. This trip was a little different than most of my trips because I traveled with a squad. I traveled with just two other people. A lot of my trips in Europe have been solo, but this one I traveled with people. And also it was different in that this was really a party trip. Like, one of my friends is familiar with the area, went to school there, so, he was like, let's get it. And Poland was still wide open. Normally I'd be like, most of my trips are kind of just nature oriented or doing a little sightseeing or a little mix of both. But, desperate times, desperate measures. Things were closed everywhere else. They were open there, and, I was invited, so I was like, fuck it, live a little. Turns out there's a such thing as living too much. And I'm going to tell you a cautionary tale about that coming soon. But outside of that, man, considering all those factors, Poland got 3.5 out of 5 frozen to fro rating scale. A big part of that, of it going down in the scale, is safety. I mean, it's a safe country if you know what you're doing and you're smart about it. But I wasn't. I was not. So I got a cautionary tale in this Afro review. It's probably going to be the bulk of it because that was the bulk of my trip. So with no further ado, let's get it. Now, something to understand about Europe, the further east you go, the less ethnically diverse it gets, really. And I had an idea of this after visiting Prague a few years ago. And I mean, it was really like that. I remember there were days where I literally was like, I'm going to focus and see if I can see any people with brown skin. And I couldn't. I mean, yeah, I got to the point my friend was even doing that. Like, hey, Zach, I saw one today. I was like, okay. So, I mean, I had an idea of it, and Poland wasn't much different, even though we were in the capital city, Warsaw. But come to find out, Poland is one of the ethnically most homogenous countries in Europe, and it showed itself. And I find that the further east you go, the more that you can expect to see. The good thing about it is that although their national language is Polish, everybody speaks really good English, or most people. Everybody that I ran into spoke English, and I didn't have any troubles with that, which is great. I don't expect people to do that every country I go to. I don't expect them to know English, but whenever they do, it just makes life so much easier getting around, doing things. So that's something definitely to consider. It always is for me when traveling. It's not going to stop me from going somewhere, but it'll change how I prepare for it, Okay, there was one time that I felt unsafe in Poland. Not because I'm black, maybe partly because I'm a foreigner and kind of easy to target, but probably mostly because I was being dumb. And it took me a while to even be able to tell this story to anybody, and let alone tell it to you right now. So bear with me here. It's not a funny story. I'm not telling it for jokes. It's actually a cautionary tale of what not to do when traveling really anywhere, not just Poland. but this just happened to be my experience in Poland. So I'll tell you about my trip. The first night, we went out to clubs and everything's wide open. We're dancing. Before that, we were in the Airbnb pregame and stuff. So we got right, went out and had a lot of fun, like just dancing, drinking, had a really good time. We got properly messed up and then, whatever. Came home, had a nice sleep. Next day, did a little sightseeing, saw the old town. It was really beautiful. And then we rinse and repeat the next night. Airbnb pregame. We went a little overboard though. Like we went nonstop and then we went out. Went to some clubs and we kept going. So it was one of those nights. I don't know what we were trying to prove, but we were getting it. So then we went. I have a habit when I'm drunk and I'm tired of being somewhere, I just disappear. I don't know if anybody else does this, but it kind of makes me a liability. Like, I don't like that I do that. And, since I'm really over the edge, it's not like I'm really controlling that. I can't tell myself no. Maybe I can. I'll try it next time I'm wasted. But, I've done that for a long time, and I wish I didn't. But I did that night. I left the club. I didn't say nothing to anybody. I just walked out, walking down the street, and my homie, he flags me down. I guess somehow he sees me and is like, hey, catches up with me in the street. And we start walking. And then in Poland, other places in Warsaw, they got these promoters, like club promoters that come out and, they try to get you to come into their club. And some lady was doing that. She was like, we got free shots. You should come in, do some free shots with us. I'm like, bad. Honestly, I don't remember that part. He told me that, but I saw them before earlier tonight, so I believe him. And so we end up in the club. I remember walking down some steps, going into the club, and I remember being like really red and hazy, but that was probably just me. But we took some shots. They were good, whatever. We sat down, and all the bartenders would come around, just kind of crowding us, giving us a lot of attention and stuff. It was a good time. And after that, I remember some other drinks, and then I remember having a really good time, like an amazing time. I still have a lot of like nice clips in my head from that night, like when I think back on it. And it was just like, it was one of those nights. And I remember certain scenarios, like I remember buying drinks. I remember just certain small little things that I can't say, but it was a really good time. And then next thing I remember, I just remember walking out of the club. I remember I was there for a long time, but I remember walking out of the club and it's daylight and I see my friend walking towards me, the one that I went in there with. I just remember being like, oh, what's up? And then that's all I remember. And the next thing I know, I'm waking up the next day, and it's 9 p.m. the next night. It's Saturday night, 9 p.m. I'm waking up in the Airbnb, fortunately. I'm just like, what the fuck happened? I had no idea. I didn't know what happened. I was terrified. But I still had like a very good feeling inside because of the night before. Like I just remember having a good feeling about it, even though I couldn't remember much. And there's a huge gap in my memory. So I was like, what the fuck happened? So I walk over to my homie's room, the one that I went to the bar with, the club with. And he's just in there like, yeah, what's up, man? I'm like, how you doing? I'm like, I'm good. What's up? What the fuck happened last night? It's like, I don't know, but I think we got drugged. I'm like, what? What you mean? You say what? He's like, yeah, I think we got drugged. Why do you think we got drugged? Because I remember, this is what he said, I remember feeling uncomfortable and leaving, and I called you, and I was trying to tell you let's go, because you weren't around, you weren't in the area I was in. And apparently I told him, nah, I'm good. Which I believe it. And I checked my phone, yeah, checks out. He did call me, and I did answer. So he walks out. He's walking down the street after he leaves the club, and next thing he knows, he's walking down the street, but he's holding his pants in his hand. And he's terrified, obviously. It's the middle of the night, and it's like an hour gap in time where he was walking home, and then he's just walking with his pants in his hand. But it's not like he woke up out of consciousness, woke up from the ground. He just came back to consciousness, like while walking. And, of course he's scared. He put his clothes back on, went home, slept it off. And, alcohol doesn't do that. It doesn't do that kind of stuff. You don't just like come back. Alcohol, you have to sleep it off, and he came back to full consciousness. So once he said that, I was like, oh man. And my heart dropped, because I'm like, I was there the whole night. Why was I there the whole night? And little voice in my head was like, check your bank account, man. Check your bank account. And I'm just like, all right, man. I'll talk to you later. Walk to my room, check my bank account. And they got me. They hit me hard, like as much as they could possibly do before fraud was detected or before, an account ran out. And it really was like that. Like, fortunately, I got my savings, and fortunately the credit card companies do have detection on potential fraud or, unusual activity. But they still hit me hard. Like, even thinking about it right now, I'm getting kind of pissed off. But that happened. So I checked that, and I was just like upset. I mean, at first I was like, whoa. First, I wasn't even upset. First, it was shock. Like, whoa, was this real? Is this real? And I checked in my pockets. I checked all these receipts. All these receipts are in my pocket, and they're crazy prices. And the crazy thing about it was like, the charges were for a lot of money. Like, each specific charge was a crazy amount. And I'd look at the receipt, and it'd show like one item, or I guess it's a drink. It's in Polish, but then an exorbitant amount of money on the other side. But it's in Polish. Zlotny? I think it's called Zlotny. Sorry, and it's a weird conversion. So I guess drunk me or drugged me probably doesn't detect like exactly how much that is, or doesn't care probably. So yeah, I remember just like rest of that night, I just walked into the other room. My other friend was in the other room watching Transformers or something. I just sat there. I didn't even watch the movie, but I was staring at the TV, like just staring through it, just thinking. And like over time, all the waves of emotions kind of came through me. At some point, I got angry. I was like, "Hold up, nah, they ain't just gonna get me like that." And first thing I do, I start looking up. Like, has this happened to people? What do you do in that situation? Specifically, I looked up getting drunk or getting drugged in a Polish club and getting your money stolen. And I was distraught at what I saw. Honestly, like. I felt very defeated. As a matter of fact, I'll read you one. This is just one of the very many reviews. This is on TripAdvisor. Here. Alright. It says, the heading 3 years ago. Avoid VIP club. Drugging and money stolen. I don't know where else to post this, but anyone traveling to Krakow needs to stay away from the VIP club. My husband has just returned from a trip there, and as stag parties normally do, they entered VIP club. He was drugged, had all cash stolen, his bank card was maxed out, and he has no memory whatsoever. He ended up leaving by himself and was found lying in the middle of the road and being saved by his friends. Please, please, please avoid this place. After reading other stories on the internet, it happens quite often. They give you free shots, and this is what is spiked. Just stay away. I saw so many more of these posts, not only in Warsaw, but Krakow and other cities in Poland. What was more disheartening was that also in the responses and the comments other people it happened to, people would report fraud. People would tell the police because that's the next step after you realize this happens. I need to call the police, or I need to report fraud. And people have been through this scenario over and over, and what happens, the club actually records everything that happens. You can't prove that you were drugged by them, but they can prove, because everything is on video, that you willingly paid for all these things, whether you realize how much you're paying or not. They get you, you're not in your right mind. All they got to get you to do is swipe your card. Like, they can fudge the numbers while you're not looking. It doesn't matter. Like, they know you're fucked up. They know, like, when you're not going to check the receipt afterwards. So they mess with you like that. And even the receipts, I looked at it, like, the numbers are spaced out in a way where it looks like the amount is smaller. Like, it'll be 7, 1, 2, 3, like. So it's an organized crime ring is what I'm trying to say. Like, they do this all around. I'm assuming probably not just Poland, but definitely in Poland they do that. In certain clubs, I don't want to cast a shadow over the whole country or Warsaw, but it happens, and it's something to watch out for, and it happened to me. So, after seeing that, I did call my credit card company. I was like, hey, even though they detected fraud at some point, there was still a lot of charges. I called them. I was like, can we, money was stolen from me. Oh, did somebody steal your card? No. Somebody, like, is your card in your possession? Yeah. Did somebody take your card, use it, and give it back to you? No, I was drugged and overcharged. Sir, you need to call the police. Oh, God. They can't do nothing about that. Like, if I report it to the police, then they'll have to, if they do an investigation. I'm not sure how they do out there, because if these clubs do this so often, I'm not really sure how it works. And honestly, I didn't explore it. I didn't call the police because I saw what happens. I saw enough reviews of it. Maybe it would have been different for myself, but at that point, I was just like, let me just go home. Like, my flight was in a few hours. I just had to sleep the next day, and yeah, I was kind of defeated. I was like, fuck it. And then I wasn't angry anymore. I was kind of just sad. I was like, damn. Not just sad about the money, which that did hurt. It's just, like I said, it still hurts to think about. But more so sad that I was in that position, like, I was taken advantage of for sure. But what they could have done to me if they wanted something other than money, like, the other friend that was there, when I told him the story, what happened, he was like, man, that kind of stuff happens where I'm from. But people don't even make it. People wake up, or people just die in a ditch somewhere, have everything stolen, have their organs stolen. I was like, fuck. So I'm very lucky in some respects that all they wanted was money from me. I'm unlucky that I had as much in my checking account as I did. Definitely a lesson learned. If you can take something from this, don't keep so much money in your checking account. Keep it in your savings where you can't just spend it at a whim on a night out. I didn't think I'd be even touching my checking account that night, but me on whatever drug that was, thought differently. So that's a big lesson learned from me. I hope you, if you take anything from it, take that. And just don't put yourself in that position, because I did, and I had to pay for it, man, in a lot of ways. And not only the mental way or the emotional way, but also physically. Like, whatever they did to him, however much drugs they gave him, it had him out of consciousness for an hour, right? For myself, they had to keep me still awake and having a good time for, the whole night, which was, 8, 9, 10 hours. Because when I did walk outside in the daylight and saw my friends, it was 2 p.m. I don't really know how long I was walking around outside. But if that was the time that I left the club, 2 p.m., which is kind of crazy to believe, then yeah, I was there for like 9 or 10 hours, which is crazy. So for them to keep me there that long, they must have given me a lot of drugs. They must have like really pumped me up. And I felt it over the next like 2 weeks. I don't know if you've ever taken psychedelics or MDMAs or something, but there's a hangover for those. It doesn't feel like alcohol. It feels like when you take that stuff, it drains all the serotonin, the happy chemicals in your body. So it releases all that. So you're happy when you're on it, but the next day you're low on those chemicals. And you're just kind of sad, or you're neutral. Usually like 2 days after, it feels like that. It felt like I was bone dry of serotonin. Like I had nothing for like a week. So I don't know what they gave me. I'm guessing some kind of roofie, or I really don't know. But I was out of it. I felt horrible for a week. Mixed with the thought of actually what happened, plus the physical aspects, and like also weird things started happening. I started like having some spasms. Like, let's see, it's still happening right now. No, I'm just kidding. But no, that was happening. Muscle spasms here, my arms, my forearms, my back, like my lat. But it would just happen at random times, each one at a different time, only on my right side. I was like, alcohol don't do that. It just doesn't. So I went through a lot, man. And I say all that to say, as a cautionary tale, this isn't for entertainment. This is really to tell you, you just got to watch out where you're going, and don't put yourself in that position. Don't get way past your limit in a foreign land where you don't know anybody, and just walking around like it's just not a smart thing to do. So many worse things could have happened. That one was pretty bad, but when you think about, I still have my health. Like I said, there's a gap in my memory, so I was like, I don't know what happened. I got tested for a lot of things just to make sure. I didn't feel anything weird or physical. Everything felt intact and tight, so I was like, all right, I think I'm good. But everything was good, fortunately. But so many worse things could have happened, and don't let your safety be put in anybody else's hands. You gotta keep responsibility for that. I took responsibility for it. I felt horrible about it, but taking responsibility isn't the same thing as taking the blame. That's really how I feel about it. But that's my cautionary tale about my time in Warsaw. I hope you take something from it. But there are a lot of nice things about Poland as well that I'm about to talk about too. So let's move on. Cost to visit Poland. This is where they win a lot of points back. Ironically, in my case. But the first thing to know about it is they use the zloty as their currency, which is I think 4 zloty per US dollar or euro, or around that, 4 zloty for that. So in a meal, average meal would be like 25 zloty, which is like $6 or $7 more or less, and you can find stuff cheaper or more, of course. So it's a good deal. And also our Airbnb, in my situation, it was $220 total between 3 of us for 3 nights. And this is everybody having their own bedroom, nice sized living room, kitchen, bathroom. So it was a good situation, I'd say. $70 total for 3 nights in a nice place per person. So it's a good deal. Other than that, like, public transportation is really cheap. They have a great tram, metro, tram and bus system. I think Warsaw has the metro system there. But I don't think the rest of Poland does. Correct me if I'm wrong, but trams and buses are nice and really cheap to get around the country, get around the city. And somehow, this was my most expensive trip. I wonder why. Okay, so Polish food is actually pretty unique. I was surprised by it. The only Polish food that I knew about before were Polish sausages. I mean, you probably heard of that. But I found out about a couple of other nice dishes that they have there. The first being, it's called the Żurek soup. Żurek. It's like this rye bread bowl with a top and everything. It's pretty cool. Like, the top is bread. It's carved out, and inside of it is this soup. It's like, kind of this brothy, meaty potato vegetable soup. and it's actually pretty good. I mean, on a cold day, it's your best friend. I was really shocked at how the soup doesn't soak through the bread bowl, no matter how long it's in it. So that's a really cool creation, I thought, and it tasted good. They got those everywhere also, and I think you can have any variation of things inside of it. But I think the traditional one is like potatoes, meats, vegetables, and another one is called pierogis. Those are really good. Those are like these little dumpling pockets, usually filled with also potatoes, meat, or vegetables. Usually like topped with some fried onion and some, I think sour cream maybe, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it's actually really good also. I like pierogis. I like little bite-sized things. I can just pop them in all day. So those were good. And I think those are for the foods. There was some random, me and my boy, we randomly playing basketball there the first night. But when we were walking back, we just stopped at a gas station, and they were like these weird double hot dogs, but they were like, it wasn't like hot dog buns. They were just like there's like some bread, picture bread, and then they just has two slots that you can slide the hot dogs into, and they have like the sauce in and around it. It was really weird, but it was definitely good after a good game of ball. But yeah, other than that, I'd say Polish food is very unique. I like it. I would go back for that. So I went to Warsaw in October. So it was pretty chilly, like at nighttime especially. It's definitely jacket weather. Maybe like it gets down to like 50 or upper 40s at night, even though it's not like super windy or nothing, so it's not too bad. The liquor definitely warmed me up. So yeah, like a 9 degrees C or 50 degrees Fahrenheit, something like that. And during the day, it was nice. It was like sunny while we were there, 60 degrees, maybe getting close to 65. So I can dig that. I think the sweet spot, best weather is summertime, usually like May through August, like a lot of Europe. And it's really nice during those times, I've heard, like mid 70s, sunny. Even with that, I'm still probably a fall or spring person just because I like to avoid the crowds. But that's me. So I'd say getting around Poland or Warsaw particularly, you don't need a car for that, especially not for Warsaw. It's a very walkable city, and even if you don't want to walk much, they have a very extensive public transportation system, buses, trams, metros, so you can get anywhere you need to go, and really cheaply. And they have ticket machines at most stations, or all the stations, but a lot of the stops as well, where you can order in English, so it's not much problem there. So I'd say skip the car unless you're trying to go somewhere out of the city, maybe some national park, and even if you are, maybe look up beforehand if they do have buses or trains that go to the place that you want to get to before. Otherwise, don't waste your money on a rental car. Warsaw is a city, it's easy to get around, and also parking in cities isn't fun, so I'd say transportation is really good in Warsaw particularly, but in Poland in general. So I honestly think when I'm rating this city, when I'm giving its Afro review and Fro rating, it's heavily skewed because of that one night. Definitely gonna lean a little bit on the lower end just because of what happened. And because when I think of the country, that's the first thing that comes to my mind still, no matter what else I saw there. So in the end, I give it 3.5 out of 5 Fros, like I said before, and that's considering all factors, including that night. And I don't want you to think that, even though I took a lot of time telling that story, that's not what Poland is. There's so many more beautiful things to see. That was just my experience. I was one night there. And even though I gotta deal with that, I gotta carry that with me, I still also put myself in that position. I gotta take responsibility where I need to take responsibility. And the people that were there and that had the bad intentions, they deal with it when they're supposed to deal with it. but I gotta deal with it right now. And yeah, I gotta say that even outside of that, Warsaw isn't really my cup of tea. It's a major European city. It's big. It's a capital, and it's a lot going on there. But you know, a lot of buildings, skyscrapers. It's not really my vibe. It's just not. You know, I've traveled a lot. And I've seen that. I'm more into, at least for traveling, I like to lean towards kind of small, charming towns or villages or places surrounded in nature, or something a little more unique. This one didn't feel so unique. I will say the old town is very beautiful. I wish I would have spent more time there. We took one visit there one night. I would have liked to spend more time in that area. That felt more like my speed. But yeah, like I said, another main thing, I felt very comfortable in my skin the whole time. Never felt out of place because I'm black. You know, it's just my experience though, and I'd like to hear what yours is. If you've traveled to Poland or if you're from there, just put your opinion down in the comments. You know, let's have a discussion. I'd love to hear about it. Whether you liked what I said or not, or you agreed or disagreed, I'd like to hear about it. And let's talk down below. But other than that, I hope y'all enjoyed watching. Until next time, guys, if you liked it, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, share it, comment, and until next time, my friends, peace.